Hello, everyone. This is your church girl coming to you. Church Girl Cummings coming to you today. And I'm going to be sharing with you my homemade apple pie recipe and also my homemade pie crust. So I'm hoping this pie crust turn out the way I want it to turn out. Okay? And so with that being said, I hope everyone had a blessed day today. And the reason I wanted to do the pie crust because I wanted to just do the pie crust, trying to get away from buying so much frozen store-bought crust and eat more homemade food. You know, I'm big on homemade food as much as possible. I try to encourage you all to try these recipes, and if at all possible, when you're doing your baking, make your homemade crust. You can throw it in the freezer, and when you get ready for crust, you have it. You don't have to wait till the last minute to make it. You can make your crust way ahead of time and put it in the freezer. But the reason I'm doing it right now, because I want you all to see me how I do my crust, my pie crust. Then I'm going to be making a fresh apple pie. I already have my apples all cut up on ice water. I didn't put it in the refrigerator because I have ice water. So they should be okay. My apples should be okay. I'm going to hurry up with that crust because I want my apple to stay bright and pretty. I got lemon juice on them, so they should be okay. So first, we're going to get started. Hope everyone had a blessed day today. Hope everyone had a blessed week. So this is your church girl. We're going to get started here now, making my pie crust. And it's very simple pie crust. There are many different ways you can make pie crust. Tonight, I'm doing a pretty simple way. And the next time, I'm going to do it another way, Italian recipe that I've been checking out. So I'm going to do that recipe next time because I want to let you know there are many different ways you can do pie crust, okay? You can make it very, very simple, or you can make it a little bit more complex. So tonight, it's going to be very easy and very tasty, very good pie crust. With that being said, I'm going to get started. And I already have everything. I'm going to start with 2 cups of flour. And I'm going to be using all-purpose flour. I want to tell you this. When you're choosing your flour for your pie crust, get some all-purpose flour. It's probably the better flour, because if you choose cake flour is a little bit too fine, and it'll make your pie crust fall apart. It may taste good, but your pie crust will just crumble. It won't have no sturdiness to it because it's a cake flour. And if you buy the flour, pastry flour, you can use pastry flour, but what pastry flour does, it doesn't give you the consistency that you would need for your pie crust. You can use pastry flour that you make, for other pastries like apple turnovers that you fry, and you use it for other cookies and stuff like that. You're making brownies and cookies and things like that, pastries. But the best thing that I've found to work with me, with the best consistency that I'm looking for, is get you some good all-purpose flour, okay? I think that would make the best. And I use the golden metals. I think that's the name of my flour that I use. I'm going to look at it because I don't want to tell you nothing wrong. Yes, gold medal is what I use. I replenished my flour today, so I have plenty of flour. And I'm going to use all-purple gold medal flour. Okay? I chose that over the pastry flour and over the cake flour. So with that being said, I'm going to start off with my 2 cups of flour. I already have it pre-mixed here, pre-measured. Always measure with your dry measuring cup, okay? This is for dry. This is for liquid. But I just measured it with the dry, and I put it over in this measuring cup here. But always measure your dry ingredients with the proper measuring cup, okay? So that being said, that's my 2 cups of flour. And the reason I'm using 2 cups of flour because I'm going to need 2 crusts, one for the top and one for the bottom. Okay? So 2 cups of flour in there. I'm going to add. No, I'm not big on a lot of salts, but when I'm making my crust, you need a little salt because the salt wakes up the flavor. And now those of you that follow me, I use pink Himalayan salt. But in my pie crust, I'm just going to use some sea salt, because that's a good salt to use. Just going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon. I'm not using much salt at all. Have my 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt in here, along with half a teaspoon of sugar. I'm putting just a pinch of sugar in my pie crust because remember I'm making an apple pie, so it's gonna be sweet. But I want that crust to have a nice texture and a real nice tender flavor to it. I want to wake it up. Okay, so that's my little sugar and my little salt that I use. I used 1/4 of a cup of salt. Now, some people use 1/2 teaspoon. I didn't want to use that much. I was trying to debate if I wanted to use any at all, but I did use 1/4, and I used 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. Those are my preference. You don't have to do that, but if you try it, that makes really good crust, okay? And I'm just gonna mix that up real quick together. Want to make sure my utensils are all dry because I don't want to put no wet ingredients in there yet. So I'm gonna mix up this flour, my little 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Some people use 1/2 teaspoon. I just always try to cut it back. And 1/2 teaspoon of sugar that I put into these 2 cups of flour, okay? That's all mixed up really good together, all right? Now the next thing I'm gonna do is, what I'm using, when choosing your butter, your shortening, or whatever you're gonna do your pie crust with, there are many different things people use. I've seen people you go from Crisco oil to just the regular canola oil, different types of oils. I don't tend to use oil when I'm making pie crust because I don't want to make that pie crust like I'm making a dough, or per se like I'm gonna cook a biscuit or something like that. It's a different consistency that I'm looking for. So what I choose to use, if I'm not using butter, complete, butter, whole butter, and if I was using that, I would let it get nice and cold. Then I would chop it up into little pieces, okay? I would chop it up into little pieces if you're gonna use butter. But today I'm using Crisco butter flavor shortening. I'm using Crisco butter flavor shortening. Crisco is rich. It's an oil that it's a shortening that I don't use a lot. But when it comes to baking, I will use Crisco sometime. I don't do a lot of cooking with it, but to get that crust like I want it, I'm going to use Crisco butter flavor shortening. Crisco butter flavor shortening. It looks like butter, pure butter, but it's really Crisco. I didn't want to use the plain Crisco because I just like the butter flavor. If I didn't have the butter flavor Crisco, I would go ahead and use pure butter. But since I have all that Crisco butter flavor, it'll give this crust a really good texture and a flavor. And this is 1/2 cup of butter flavor Crisco. I don't think I'm gonna use all of this. I don't think I'm gonna use the whole half. Some people do. I had a friend that make her crust, and she used the whole pound. Oh Lord, I shouldn't be laughing, but she put all that. She put like 4 sticks of Crisco. She put like 4 sticks of Crisco shortening in her pie crust. And when I tasted it, it tastes like nothing but oil. The crust didn't have no taste. It was way too much. But you don't want to tell people everybody cook different. So I just leave that at that. So I'm going to put in, I measured out 1/2 cup, but I'm going to only use the half of the 1/2 cup of Crisco or butter. This is butter flavor Crisco. And if I wasn't going to use this, I would use pure butter. But it was nice and cold. Make sure it be nice and cold, not all the way melted, because you want to work this into this flour. You don't want to put it in there all melted. Some people do. I've seen people do that because I watch a lot of cooking shows, but that's not what I want to do. And I don't think I want to use quite that much of Crisco because Crisco is so rich. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take not going to use my hand. I have a pastry cutter here. I only have one. I'm going to invest in me another one because I found out that sometimes 2, I could really use 2, but I only have one pastry cutter, but I have a nice sturdy spatula if I want to use that. So now what I'm going to go in, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pour this out on my counter, on my workstation here, because I want you all to see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to work it. I'm going to pour it out. I'm not going to bring it together in this bowl. And I don't know if y'all can see me like so. It's a little low. My camera seems to be a little high. I'm going to put it back up on top of this, my cutting board there. Maybe it'll bring it up a little bit higher. Really should be about that high. So it's really not high enough for me to work with. I have to set it on top of something to bring it up. But since I don't have it up quite high enough, I'm going to see can I get it high enough though. Hold on just a second. I'm going to make what they call makeshift. I really want that to be up a little bit higher. So I'm going to see can I get my cutting board up just a little bit higher. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. I think it's sturdy enough. Yeah, that's sturdy enough. You can see me right there. Sturdy enough. I have a cutting board, but then I have my working sheet here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dump my flour and my Crisco flavored oil, my Crisco flavored Crisco right onto this, to my working area there. Then I'm gonna just start, take my cookie sheet here. I'm gonna cut it. One thing when you're making flour, you do not want to overwork your flour, okay? I'm just gonna cut it. Now I can use my hands and work it together like that. Remember to keep those hands impeccable clean. But I'm gonna use my cutting board. If I think I need to add the rest of the Crisco, I will, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm just gonna cut this Crisco like so. Now if I would have had two cutting cutters, I would use two, but I have one, so I'm gonna use the spatula. And just hold it just like so. I'm just cutting this, my butter flavor or my butter into your flour. I'm using butter flavor Crisco, okay? And you just want to cut it in till it become real crummy. I poured it out the bowl. I could have did it in the bowl, but I want you all to see exactly what I'm doing. See, I'm just cutting this Crisco into the flour. I may use a little bit more of the Crisco. I like that butter flavor. That's why I'm using the butter flavor, because I like the taste of the butter in that crust. Just like so. Just cut it. If you don't have a pastry cutter, you can use anything that you have that'll work. You can even use your hands and go in and just make sure you just cut it all up together, okay? I tell people to use whatever you have. Hands work just as good. As long as you keep those hands impeccable clean, work just as good. So you want to cut your butter or your Crisco into that flour, okay? I don't want it to fall all off the thing. It's kind of falling off my work board here, but that's okay. I can always wipe that up. I raised it up a little bit higher so you guys can see what I was doing. See, I'm just cutting that Crisco right into this flour here. To get really, really, really crummy. And keep doing that until this flour get incorporated all the way through. All the way through all that flour. I'm using this spatula as a guide. If I had two of these, that would work much better. But I don't have two, so I'll just use this spatula as a guide. Been kind of nice down here in the valley today. However, I've been inside though, but I think it's been nice outside. I don't know how hot it really was. I can't be in a lot of heat, so I try to stay in much as possible. That's the doctor's order. I can't, when it's really hot, I can't be in the sun too long, so I tend to stay on the inside much as possible. Okay, I chopped this in really, really good. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to use just a little bit more of my Crisco. Like I said, you can always add more, but you can't take away. I think I want to use a little bit more. Now, the recipe I use really called for the whole half a cup. But I don't want to use quite that much. But I do think I want to use just a little bit more. Because I really want a nice flaky crust. And this crust is very easy to make. Just make sure you just chop it up really good like so. Then I'm going to show you how I bring it together. A lot of people, A lot of us don't want to take our time to make crust. We just want to run to the store and get it already, already bought, ready to go. But I tell you, when you start making your own, every once in a while, at least once a year, make your own. I think you enjoy it much better when you make it yourself. Remember I told you when you make your own and cook from scratch, you know exactly what's in it. I'm gonna try to work in a hurry because none of my videos be too long. I got to figure out how to pause it, come back in. Still learning, but I'll get there. All right, now see, I got this flour. I cut that Crisco, butter flavored Crisco, or butter, whichever one you're using. I'm using butter flavored Crisco. I chopped it up all the way through this flour. I made this flour look just like, like real crummy. That's what you want. Because you want every layer of that flour to have little chunks of butter in it, or either Crisco, whatever you're using. That's why it's so important that it be nice and cold so it don't melt. Some people that use the plain oil, just oil. I said I was going to do that recipe one day, but I don't think I'm going to do that recipe because I don't like using melted butter and melted oil with my crust. I like for that crust to be used with nice cold butter or Crisco. And I'm using butter flavor. Now, the regular Crisco is just fine. It don't have to be butter flavor. I'm using butter flavor because that's what I choose to use. Okay. Remember I said if you don't have a flour cutter, see how I'm using my spatula? Just as good. Maybe even better because it got a nice handle on it. I can control it better. Just chop it up just so. Just like that. And some people have used butter knives to chop it up. Have a butter knife. If you don't have a spatula or a flour cutter, get your butter knife. Do the same thing. See? You get the same results. There are more than one way. See? Just make sure you keep it together and use your hand as your guide, as your guard, and just chop it up. Just like that. Okay, I just want to show you that there are multiple ways. And if you don't have anything at all, God gave you nice hands. Just keep them hands impeccable clean and get in there and just mix it up. Work just as good. Just as good. Okay, now that I have this flour, like so, just like I want it, real crummy, I have incorporated my little fourth teaspoon of salt and my half a teaspoon of sugar into my flour, getting ready to make my crust. And I got it chopped up real fine. I'm not going to move my camera too much because I don't have it on a... See, if you can see it, it's chopped up really, really fine. Maybe I can use my workstation here and bring it up close to you. That flour chopped up really, really fine. See there? Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is once I get it all chopped up, I'm not going to use water. I'm not using water in my pastries, in my dough, my crust. Some people use cold water, but cold water is so bland. And some people use, filtered water, things like that. And that's fine. You can use water. I choose to use a little milk because it's not going to take much at all anyway. Okay? Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to I'm not going to put it back in the bowl. I can, but I'm just going to make a circle right here on my cutting board. Right here on my cutting board. Just like so. I'm making a hole right into my pastry, my flour. See? Right on my cutting board. Just like I would be doing if I was making pasta. Homemade pasta. Just like that. Okay? Like the Italians do. Now, what I'm going to do is real simple. All you do is your 2 cups of flour, your little 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Some people use a half a teaspoon. A half a teaspoon of sugar. Some people use 1 teaspoon. And your butter or your Crisco. Mix that up together. Now, then you go in with your milk or water. I'm using milk because milk tends to make my pie crust a lot more flakier and a whole lot more tastier. Water not going to give it a good taste at all. The pie crust may taste, it may be good. It's going to be good, I'm sure of that. But if you really want to make it more tasty, use a little milk. Now, there's another recipe I'm going to use where I'm going to put 1 egg in my milk, and I'll show you that another time. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to be real good. Only take a little bit at a time, not much. I have a third of a cup, but it may not take that much. Now I'm just going to go right in here again. I'm going to incorporate that milk right into my flour here. I'm doing it right on the cutting board. I didn't have to put it in a bowl. You want to use just enough milk or just enough water to bring that dough together. Okay? You don't want it to be too wet because you're making a crust. Okay? I'm going to add some more milk to this. Just adding a little at a time until I incorporate all the flour right into a little dough. You want to fold it in. Like I say, you don't want to overwork your dough. So you just work it in, and you can leave it in a bowl if you're too uncomfortable with doing. If you're not used to doing it on your counter, on your working area. I'm just gonna fold it right in. I'm not gonna really chop. I'm through chopping. I did that when I brought my flour together with the Crisco. Okay, it's coming together really good. And I probably end up using all of that milk. It's just a third of a cup, and I am making two nice sized pie crusts. So I know I'm gonna need some more milk. That's definitely not enough. I'm gonna add the others. Like I say, you can always add, but you can't take away. So if I need to add a little more milk, I'll just grab a little bit more until I get all of this incorporated. I started with a third of a cup. But like I said, if I need to grab a little bit more, that'll be just fine. I can do that. But you don't want to take a whole lot of water and go to pouring, and a whole lot of milk and go to pouring and end up with a mess. Just a little bit at a time. Just enough to bring your crust together. Ooh, I can smell that, Crisco. I can smell that butter. It smells good. It's coming together just like I want it to, but it seems like I'm going to have to probably add just a little bit more milk. Just a little at a time until I get enough. I don't want to overwork my dough. That's why I'm folding it. I'm just folding it until I get it all incorporated. And I'm going to probably grab a little more milk because I only measured out a third of a cup. I've seen people use a half a cup, a whole cup, and all kinds. But it depends on how much flour. I use 2 cups of flour. So it's still too dry. A little bit too dry, so I'm going to go back and add some more, little bit more milk. I put it back in the fridge, so let me grab it. Put it back in the fridge. That was enough milk for 1 crust, not for 2. That was enough milk for 1 cup of flour, not 2 cups. I'm just going to measure out the milk here. I'm not going to start pouring and end up making it too too loose. Okay. My work area, my work surface here, if I'd had on my counter, I'd have a larger, lot more space to work with, but that's fine. This is fine. I poured it out to do it in the open because I want you guys to see exactly how I'm bringing this crust together. It take a little time to make your food when you want your food to taste good. It may take you a little time to make it, but it'll be well worth it. It'll be well worth it. When you get that crust all done, and all rolled out, you'll be so happy that you make your own pie crust. Just gonna add enough milk until I get it just like I want it. The consistency that I want. If you think it's easier when you're making your pie crust to put it in a bowl, that's fine. And it probably is, but I wanted to put mine out on my workstation here. I kind of raised it up. I probably need to make it flatter, but I raised it up so you all can see exactly what I'm doing. And then I would lower it. I'll lower it in a minute. My workstation. Okay, now what I'm gonna do now is probably put it back in my bowl. I don't have to put it back in the bowl. I may well just go ahead and cut it right here. I just want to bring it together. As long as it's crummy, I'll add a little milk until I get this dough just like I want it. But I do not want it to fall apart, and I don't want it to be too wet. Okay, I think this is gonna do it. I'm gonna flatten this back down. I'm gonna go ahead and I raised my cutting board here, my workstation, so it can be up high, so y'all can see what I'm doing. But I'm gonna go ahead and make my ball. Go ahead and make my dough ball. My workstation kind of sliding around on because I raised it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that book out that I had to raise it. Make it back flat. Get this out of my way. Okay, I'm back. I'll be more sturdy. Oh, you can still see that. I didn't even have to raise it. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this together. Going to put it back in my bowl. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in my bowl. I wanted you all to see exactly how I was making this dough. I'll make me two dough balls in just a second. I'm going to cut it and put it to the side, and I'm going to roll out one crust, then I'm going to roll out the second crust. Put it in the bowl so I can really have room to bring this crust together without it sliding all over my workstation. End up using all that milk. So I know that should do it because I'm not going to add any more to it. All right. Now I'm getting my hands in here, and that's perfectly fine. Like I told you, keep those hands impeccable clean. So when you do have to work with dough and crust, you won't have no problem. You won't have no problem at all. Sometimes it works better when I'm working with my hands. Instead of a lot of utensils, I can really get in there and bring it together much better, with my hands. Okay? What I did when it came to my milk, I'm trying not to use too much milk, so that's why I broke it up into segments, into a third cup of milk at a time. Okay. Because I do not want to use too much. All right. Trying to get it just the consistency I want it, because I do not want it to break apart. I'm not an expert with my crust, but I think it's going to come out good. I think it's going to come out just fine. Because you do not want your crust to be too wet. And you don't want to be breaking apart. Because you got to roll it out. And you got to make sure it stay together when you roll it out. You do not want it to be breaking apart. And if I need to add something to bring it together, then I'll do just that. It only calls for a couple of ingredients: your flour, your butter, or your shortening, whichever one you're using, your flour, your butter, or your shortening. And remember, I put a little bit of, fourth of a teaspoon of salt and fourth of a teaspoon of sugar in mine. Okay, now I'm just going to bring this dough together like so. And I'm going to cut it because I need 2 crusts and 2 cups of flour. It's more than enough for 2 crusts, okay? I don't want to overwork this dough, so I need to stop it. I think it's just fine. Okay. I have my crust, like so. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it in half, because I'm making 2 crusts. I'm going to take my flour cutter here. And I'm going to cut it in half. Should be in half, but sometimes I try to do a little bit over half, because I want my top flour, I want my top, might have too much overhead. I want my top to be a little bit more, my bottom to be a little bit more larger than the top, because I got to make sure that it fits. I'm making a deep dish apple pie. Okay, now, this is my crust, 2 balls, just like so. Now, if I didn't want to use this today, I could take it, put it in some saran wrap or freezer wrap paper, and put it in the freezer, in the Ziploc. That's my crust. And when I roll it out, this is going to make 2 nice crust. Okay, here we go. Let me get my pie crust pan here. I'm going to be making my pie in this deep dish right here. Just going to set this to the side. I don't have to put that in the refrigerator because I'm going to be using it in a minute. I'm going to get ready to roll this out. And I'm going to roll it out. Let me see. I think this will be big enough to roll it out on. I don't want to take any chances, so I'm going to roll it out on my countertop. So I don't take any chances getting the proper size. Let's get this out of the way. I already have my rolling pin ready. So I'm going to roll it out right here. Right on my countertop here. I dropped a little milk there, so I want to get that out of the way. I'm not going to use this. There's got butter on it, so Gonna roll it out right on my work board here. Trying to see how I want my workstation to be. My work board to be. In case it go over. Yep, that's good. That's good. Work it out right there. And make it a pinch of flour just in case. You don't want it to stick. It shouldn't stick. But I just want to make sure that it don't stick. It shouldn't stick, but always, when you're dealing with flour and pastries, you want to make sure you have enough flour. You don't want nothing sticking. So I'm flouring my countertop, my work area here. Get that out of the way. And so I'm going to go ahead and roll out my first crust so I can get those apples in my, get those apples. Honey, I need to take a little medicine, you guys. Not feeling the best. And in making your pie crust, normally when you make your pie crust, when you roll away from you. Don't go back and forth like that. Okay? Roll it away from you. I'm gonna raise that up again because you really can't see me. Really can't see what I'm doing. I got it kind of low, so I'm just gonna raise it back up. That's better. Honey, give me some pain medicine, please. When you're rolling your pie crust out, roll it away from you, just like that. It's some Rock'n'Roll. Just roll it away. Now you can roll it back. I have a bad habit of rolling it toward me. I guess that's because I'm left-handed, but the way I was trained to do it when I was in culinary school, and that's what I really focused in on was baking. That was my specialty in culinary school. But they taught me to always roll that crust away from me, just like so, like that. Just roll it away. I don't know why they taught me that way, but that's the way they taught me. I don't normally do it that way, though. But that is the proper way that I was taught. You roll it like so. And then you turn the crust as you go, and then just keep rolling it away. Even if you roll it back the other way, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I never had a problem, but I'm just telling you the way I was taught in culinary school. For some reason, they want us to roll it away, just like so. Then we'll take that dough as we go, we turn it little by little. That way you know it's not sticky. You just roll it away from you, just like that. I'm not that strong because I have pain in my joints and stuff like that, so. But just roll it away from you. Turn it. May have to get the king to come here and roll it out for me. I don't have much strength, but anyway, that's how you do it. Just roll it away. Just like so. Until you get it wide enough to cover your pan. It's not wide enough yet. It's not sticking. As long as it's not sticking, you don't want to overflour it.
There you go.
It's rolling out just fine. I just got to get it wide. Hold on. Taking my medication. Give me a little bit more, baby. Give me a little bit more. Need some pain. I'll take it to Dilaudid next. Okay, that's good. That's good. I don't want to take too much of this. Oh, no. I could have took a Norco. Hey, excuse me. Had to get my little pain medicine in. Okay? Church girl having a little pain. You guys keep me lifted up. I need my push. Keep me lifted up. I'll stay in this kitchen and serve some fantastic recipes. Okay. I'm rolling out my dough, my crust here. I don't do a whole lot of baking, but I love to bake. I don't do a whole lot of baking because we don't eat a whole lot of sweets like we used to. But I do bake what we like to eat. You know, my husband likes stuff like tea cakes, and he normally makes his own cobblers. But I had someone ask me when was I going to do some baking. During the holidays, I'll do more baking during the holidays. But throughout the year, I don't do a whole lot of baking because we don't eat a whole lot of sweets like this during the year. Not that often. And when we do, I'll have the deacon to come in and make the cobbler. He make a fantastic German chocolate cake, you guys. Deacon Cummings, I call my husband Deacon a lot of times. But he makes a fantastic German chocolate cake, so I got to get him in here to do his German chocolate cake for my YouTube family. Gonna put Chef Cummings to cooking. He makes a fantastic German chocolate cake. Every Thanksgiving and Christmas, I do the sweet potato pies. And I can do the cakes too if I want to, but when it comes to the cobblers and the German chocolate cake, I have to call on the king of Ponderosa. Oh yeah, he can really make a very good German chocolate cake. Okay, I got my pie crust all rolled out. I'm gonna show it to you all. Don't worry about the edges on your pie crust because that's gonna be cut off anyway. So I don't too much worry about the edges. Don't have to be all smooth all the way around. Because as you know, when you're cooking homemade, that's what it is, homemade. So I don't worry about the long as my crust can fit the inside of my baking dish just fine, then I'm satisfied. Always roll away from you, just like so. Away from you. Sometimes I roll back and forth, but when you're rolling back and forth, you may overwork your pie crust, the dough. Plus, you got that shortening, or your butter should be cold. Like my crust is still nice and cold, and you don't want it to get hot and start melting. You would like to see little chunks in it. I don't see many chunks, little chunks like that I would like to see, but that's just fine. It'll still come out good. Okay, now I think this is about as wide as I can get it on my bowl here, on my my workstation here. And if you make your crust and you see some little pieces that you feel like it's kind of torn a little bit, just patch it back together. That's not just dough. It's just crust. Okay, this is the crust. That's my crust. Doesn't that look good? I'm gonna take this crust. I'm gonna put it inside my baking dish here. Now, one way you can measure if your crust is the right proper size for your pie, whatever pie dish you're using to bake in, take your pie crust, your dish here, and just put it over the top. And as long as it go all the way around and have a little extra left over, you know it's the right size. See how I'm doing that? I got it right over top of my pie crust there, and it fit just fine. Or you can take it and do it that way. But if you do it top down, you'll see exactly how much crust you have left over hanging over the sides. Okay? Because you may need that to patch up a place, later on if your pie crust having to tear. But I think that's plenty big enough. So now I'm going to take my rolling pin, put just a little flour. Don't really need flour on it, but just a habit. Sometimes we cook a certain way, it's just a habit. I'm going to take my rolling pin here, my mom's rolling pin. Ooh, this reminds me of my mother so much. Man, she done rolled out so many biscuits with this rolling pin. And I'm going to, 2 ways you can do this. Now, you can take your pie crust and just put it over in your pie pan the way you want to do it. But normally what I try to do, I try to take my rolling pin and I'll take my pie crust and I roll it right across and I hope this doesn't tear because it's kind of flaky, just like I wanted it. But I'll roll it right across my rolling pin just like so. Then I'll take my baking dish and then I'll lay my crust right over in it. That way, every time, you can't go wrong. Okay, see? I just took it and I used this to kind of help guide that pie crust over into my baking dish. And now what I'm going to do, sometimes you have air. Air will get underneath your pie crust. So you want to work that pie crust down into your baking dish. Work it down into your baking dish. Make sure, just like so, make sure you don't have no air underneath there. And if I need to patch up some spots, Well, I don't think I got quite enough dough. When I cut this a little bit, I'm making sure I put enough pie crust down inside my pie pan here. And it's coming together really, really good. I'm pleased so far at how it's coming out, how it's turning out. And like I said, if I have a little spot that I feel like I don't have enough crust, I'm going to take this excess that I'm going to trim off, and I'll just fill it in. Because I didn't use, been a while since I made pie crust. I didn't use 1.5 cups of flour. I just used 2 cups. My mind told me, so why don't you use 2.5 cups? That way I would have had a little extra dough to work with. But I didn't. And that's just perfectly fine. It's still coming together just fine, see? Coming together, it's coming together just fine. I'm gonna take a little knife, a little sharp knife, like so. You all know how I am about wiping stuff off, even though it's clean. It's just a habit that I have. I always wipe. I always keep me some paper towel and nice hot dishwater and nice things to wipe things off as I go. Because even though it's nice and clean, I still like to kind of wipe it off. Just a habit. I'm going to use this to trim my dough. My crust. Okay. I'm going to make sure I got that crust all the way down inside there. Like so. See? Okay. I'm going to trim this crust because I'm going to take the extra and patch it in on another side at the top. I don't have quite enough crust that I would like right there, so I take the excess. But it's looking really good. See? Now I'm going to just trim it. Take me a little knife here. I'm just going to trim around. I'm just going to trim off the, well, I could use sometimes I use my cutter. Sometimes I use my shears. You can cut. Sometimes I like to cut it. I tend to do a little bit better when I cut it. Just like so. That's what I'm using, my shears. I'm going to cut the excess dough right off. I don't have a whole lot of excess. I could have had it a little bit wider. Next time I'll use 2.5 cups when I'm making 2 crusts. Because this is a big baking dish I'm using. I started to use a smaller baking dish, but have a lot of apples that I want to use, so I just decided to use this deep dish. And I'm going to take the extra little pieces of dough, and then I'll fill in the top part that I told you that I felt like I need to fill in a little. If you need to fill in anything, just take your little extra dough, and don't be afraid to use this good dough. So don't be afraid to just patch in whatever you need to patch in. If you need to patch in anything, I'm just patching in the top, right at the top, so I can have that crust all the way around my top of my dish here. I didn't want no space. I didn't want no space lacking any crust. Because it's just crust and it's going to be very tasty. And no sense in throwing it away if I can use it, right? So I'm just using it to patch in my, wet one finger. I wet one finger so I can really get it to stick. I want it to stick, so. Want that dough to stick. So I have a drop of milk. Put on my finger to make sure that it stick. So I'm just going to patch it in like so, just like that. And that's fine. I think that'll do it, you guys. I'm just putting in all my little excess. I don't have much. I didn't have much trim left over anyway. So I may as well use this last little piece. Patch it in right there. I think I'm going to start making more crust because, you know, the more you do something, the better you get at it. The more you do it, the better, you know, the better you learn how to do it. Okay? So I think I'm going to start making more crust. Normally, I would just buy my crust because there's a certain brand that I like. But I really been wanting to make my own crust. And sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I'm not going to try to get fancy with this, with my top here. I'm just going to leave it as so because I don't have a lot to work with. So I'm not going to try to get all fancy with this, with the corners. I'm just going to leave it alone. And then when I get my other top on there, hopefully it'll go all the way across and I have some extra to cut off, to trim off. It'll cover that. All right. There you have it. I had to patch it. You can see where I had to patch it at the top. And there's my pie crust. And if you have to patch it together, like right here, you'll see a little spot that I had to patch together. That's perfectly fine. But as I said, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And I'm here to tell you, I think you enjoy your food a lot better. I'm not expert with the pie crust. All right, I'm gonna put these apples. Get ready to put my apples. Drain these apples out. I sliced my apples already, and I have it on ice cold water with a little lemon that I put in it to keep your apples nice and bright. They won't turn dark on you. Okay, now I'm going to pour this cold water off, and I sliced up plenty Granny Goose apples, green apples. And I like to mix my apples, so I put in 2 Fuji apples, very firm Fuji apples. Honey, I want to keep this for compost. So I'm just going to put my apple hulls on the floor because I need to use this. Save that for my compost pile. I'm making me a compost pile, you guys, for my garden. So it'll be nice, good fertilizer. Keep my extra hulls and make them put in my compost pile outside. Okay, now all I'm doing is just I'm gonna pour this. I'm gonna pour this water off of the apples here. Pour those off. And what I did, I kept 1/2 apple so I can show you. I know everybody should know how to slice up an apple. But I still will show you. I left 1/2 that I didn't slice up. Okay. The goal was to show you how to do the crust, not so much the apple pie, but since I got the apples, I may well make the pie, right? I left out 1/2 an apple because I know everybody should know how to cut up an apple, but I'm gonna show you how the church girl cut up her apples. Drying my hands. That's all. This is a dry paper towel. Knife. I already got my apples. Oops. All sliced up. I shouldn't have did that because I don't want to get that water on my crust. I don't want to mess my crust up. Took me too hard to get it like I wanted. So I definitely don't want to mess my crust up. Let me dry this little water up. Dry that little water up really fast. And I'll clean up my mess a little bit later. Those that follow me know I like to wipe as I go. But I have to redeem the time, so I have to come back and clean it up a little bit later. Okay. Anyway, there's my crust. Okay. Came out pretty good, I think. That's my crust. And I'm going to do this more often, too, because I really want to get this pie crust down to a really, really, really perfect crust. I'm pleased. I'm still pleased as to how this come out. But I want to get it where I don't have to patch up no sides of it. I want a perfect crust. But right now, there's my pie crust. And I already have my apples all sliced up. I'm going to put them in. I drained them. But I left one piece. I left 1/2 because I want to show you. I took my apple peeler. I peeled my apples with an apple peeler. I'm just taking this inside out. Always take that core out. Just like so. Take that core out. You don't want to be biting down on core when you're eating fresh apple pie. And then just slice the apples. Some people slice it in little chunks. I tend to slice mine. I slice my apples just like that, like so. Your thin pieces just like that. Because that's the way I want to do it. Now, a few times I made dry apple pie. Use my mom's recipe. I love the way she used to make her apple pie. She used dried apples. As she cooked that apple down, my mom would cook her apples down just kind of like an applesauce. And man, ooh, I could eat a whole pie. Ooh, Lord, my mother could make the best, I mean the best apple pie from dried apples. She cooked that apple down to like a little sauce. And I don't know nobody else that ever made that I knew that make it like that. Everybody I asked, they never heard of it. But I have made it, and mine turned out good. It took me about 5 or 6 times before I got even close to my mom. Okay. I'll drain those apples. Now I'm going to just load these apples up into my apple dish here. No certain way to do it. Sometimes people put their sugar on it first, but I don't. I'm going to do all that once I get the apples in the pan. And my cinnamon stuff once I get in the pan. I cut these up long because I didn't want to chop them up. That's how I wanted these apples. And you can chop your apples up any way you want to. Some people, like I said, they make little chunks. I didn't want no applesauce, so I'm doing mine this way. It's best to try to make sure you slice them up the same size so those apples are cooked, you know. When they start baking, all your apples are baked, you know, at the same time they'll get done. Try not to have none so much spatter than, you know, than each other. I wasn't really paying that much attention. So you may see me slice up 1 or 2, making sure I don't have none that's too big up in here. Now, when you're making apple pies and you have a little small bruise on your apple, don't panic. A little small bruise is okay. As a matter of fact, what they taught me in culinary school, a little small bruise on your apple is really the sweetest part of the apple. So you can use that, but don't use no bad apple. Now, I'm not saying go out there and put a whole lot of messed up apples up in your pie. But I had one that had a little bruise on it, and I thought about what the teacher said. So I decided I was cutting that bruise away, but then I thought about what my instructor told me years ago. As long as that little bruise, because it really would make the apple more sweeter. These are Granny Goose apples, so they're not sweet anyway. They're bitter. But I'm going to sweeten them up. The church girl is going to sweeten them up. I don't want to get no water in there, so. I need just enough apple. I might ask my husband, honey, come here real fast. May chop up another apple and put it in because I wanted a lot of apples in this apple pie because they're going to cook down some, but I think this is enough apples, but I guess I could cut up 1 more or 2 more. That's enough apples for you, honey? I know, but I wanted my apple pie to be nice and firm and full. Okay, honey. I'm asking your advice because you're the expert when it comes to these pies now. Oh, I had a green apple that I left out. I need to use this green apple. You don't want to save this green apple, do you? I got 1 green apple, you guys, that I missed. I need to use that because if I don't use it, I'm going to end up going bad. I don't want it to go bad. So real fast, only take a second. I didn't see it over there. I missed one. And I use an apple peeler. I'm going to peel this apple real fast because I don't need to keep 1 green apple. And then I'm not going to do nothing with it. I'm not going to put it on his salad. I don't put green apples in his salad. Okay, I'm going to cut this one up really fast. You'll get a chance to see me cut one up from the beginning. Okay. I rinsed it off. Now I'm just gonna take this core out. I didn't even realize I had left an apple over there. So when I cut my apples up, I take that core. All of that got to be cut away. Okay. You take your knife and just cut it right out. Cut it right out the center, like so. Do that the same way. Take that middle part out. You don't want no core in your apple. I'm just going to slice this one up really fast because I didn't even realize I had left it over there. So I'll go ahead and put it in the pie because I don't want to. I probably could have saved it, but I don't know when I would have used it. I know I wasn't going to eat it. So maybe I'll put it over my pie, right? See how I'm slicing them up? Like so. That's just a little apple that I had overlooked. Okay. One more little green apple for the pie. The more the better. The more the merrier as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Oh my God. That was just one half. All right, church girl, get it together. Okay. Putting the other half in there. Cutting out that core. Always cut that core out. I'm moving in a hurry. Because I always end up making these videos too long. Okay, I'm just slicing up this last little apple. Half an apple. Because I want to put it all in the pie. Cut this core out. Slice up my last little apple really fast. One little apple that I had overlooked. It was over there calling my name. Church girl, you forgot about me. Hey, I'm over here. So anyway, put this last little apple in there. Slice it up. Like so. Just like that. Okay, that looks good. That's looking really good. Now what I'm going to do, those are my apples, ready for to make the pie. Now what I'm going to do is, I keep calling my husband because he really is the one that do these pies. All I'm going to use is just nutmeg, cinnamon, and my vanilla flavor. And Ken wanted me to put allspice, so I use a little allspice. Then I'm going to top it off with some butter. Some people don't add butter to theirs, but I'm not trying to lose weight when I'm making a pie, you guys, so it could be a little rich. I'm going to start mine off. And I don't measure. I can't really tell you how much. Whatever you like in your apple pie, that's what you put in. Some people just like cinnamon, and that's it. But I like a little nutmeg in my pie. Now, some people also kind of stir all this up together before they even put it in the shell, so they have the cinnamon and stuff all the way through the pie, already mixed in the apples, already stirred into the apples. I didn't do that, so therefore you kind of see me. It's gonna work its way through it anyway. The flavor, it's gonna work its way through this pie. My husband likes nutmeg, so I'm a little heavy-handed on the nutmeg because my husband like it. I can tend to, I like nutmeg pretty good too. Whoops. I'm not using a whole lot of allspice though. I think he liked the allspice, but that's a plenty. Maybe too much. So now I'm going to add my sugar. Come here, honey. I was trying to get him in here, you guys. You can take a look at this. Tell me if I got enough of this stuff on it. I'm making this for him. I know this is enough nutmeg, honey. I ain't putting no more in there. Now I'm just going to put the sugar. He won't come to see, so I'm going to make it whatever way I want to make it. See? That's a lot, huh? Yeah. That's too much? Now I should put the lemon juice on it. Squeeze the lemon juice on it now, right before I put the sugar. Don't matter? He said don't matter, but I'm going to put my lemon juice first. Like to squeeze a little lemon juice on these apples because they're green apples. Oops. I want my boiled eggs to come falling out. Got my boiled eggs in there. Ready for his salad tomorrow. I'm going to squeeze a little lemon juice on this apple because it's green apples. And they can be a little tart. And the lemon juice kind of wakes up the flavor. I'm not going to use a whole lot. I've dried it off. I rinsed this off on the top. So just going to squeeze some lemon juice. I don't want no seed to drop off in there. Kind of watching it. I don't really know how much to put, so I'm just squeezing a little bit. Like so. Guess hopefully that's enough. As long as I squeeze a little lemon juice over in there. Because that's how he does it. Those lemons are still good, so I'll use it again. Rinse my hands. Okay, need to put this milk back. Put this milk back in this refrigerator because I don't need it sitting out. That's my milk. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my sugar. Now I'm going to use white sugar and brown sugar, okay? I love the way brown sugar tastes in my pies. And this is just a half a cup. I don't normally like my pies too sweet, but I got a lot of apples on here. These apples are Granny Goose, so they kind of tart. Now I'm going to add some brown sugar. That's just because I love brown sugar. And I only had half a cup of white sugar. It wasn't even a full cup. This is white. Half a cup. I'm putting all my sugar on here. Nice and sweet. As I said, you're trying to lose weight, this is probably not the pie for you. This is probably not the pie for you. Okay? Ooh, that brown sugar look good. It's going to melt all down in that pie. Now I'm going to, I probably should have put my flavor in there first, but I didn't. And I don't even know how much flavor to put, so I'm just going to put a tablespoon. When you make a new pie, make the pie to your taste. I can't really tell you how much, but I'm going to put like 1 tablespoon of vanilla. And I probably should have put it on there first, but it doesn't matter what order you put it in. The main thing is that you put it in there. 1 teaspoon. I tend to go over a little bit, with the flavor because I love vanilla flavor. So I'm not going to go over no more. That's a plenty. 1 teaspoon of vanilla flavor. Pure vanilla, not the imitation kind. When you're investing in your spices, kind of invest in some really good spices. You know, this is the baking vanilla by Watkins. And anybody know anything about Watkins, you know they make some very good spices. That's pure vanilla by Watkins. Now I'm going to slice up me a little butter, put on top. Like I said, if you're trying to lose weight, this probably won't be the pie for you. I probably don't need to gain no weight, but I'm going to eat this pie. So now I'm going to slice up some butter and put right on the top of this pie. As this pie cooks, that butter will melt right down into the pie. Okay? Now, some people melt their butter and just kind of drizzle it over the pie. I'm not doing that. I'm just putting little slices of butter right across this pie. Because I want a nice rich pie. Nice rich pie. I don't want to put too much butter, but I do want enough to get that buttery flavor that I really love in my pie. I have one friend don't add no butter at all because she really watch her weight. She's not big, but she don't like to use no butter and no nothing. She just use plain apples with a little cinnamon and a little sugar. And that's it. But no, I got to fix my pie. Make it rich. Church girl pie. All right. Now that I got that done, I'm going to take my other crust and roll it out real quick and put it on this pie. But in the meantime, it's coming together. See how it's looking? I'm going to see, can I raise this up and let you see it? I don't like messing with this camera too much. Anyway, it's coming together just fine. I'm going to set this to the side, though, because I got to roll out really fast. I don't care. I don't mind about this little brown sugar bit on there. And it's not going to hurt the crust. Got to roll out this crust real fast for the top. This is my other crust for the top. Okay? This will go on the top of the pie. I don't want to overwork it, but I do want it to come together enough where it will stay together. I don't want it to stick. So I do use a little bit of flour so it doesn't stick. Okay, now I'm going to roll out this other crust here. I'm praying that it be a big, 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 wide one because I want it to hang over all the way over the top of that pie. Okay. This is my crust. This truly is homemade, all the way homemade, from crust and all. Remember I told you they taught me in school not to rock this back and forth, but I find myself doing it every time. Always roll it away from you. But because I have pains in my joints, a lot of times it's kind of hard to get it started rolling. But once I get it started rolling, I tend to do fine. I rock it a little bit. Whatever works for you to get it rolled out. Just roll it out. Remember to roll it away from you. Just like so. And you can turn the crust a little bit each time as you go, like so. And you just keep rolling until you get a nice, firm, wide, tender crust. Trying to see, make sure you ain't got no apple inside mine. No, thought I saw some apple. I think that's brown sugar. Got a little specks of brown sugar on my cutting board here. But that's okay. Rolling this pie crust out. I'm not the strongest person in the world when it comes to rolling out things. Because of my bones are a little fragile. This is tearing. So make sure that doesn't happen. If you see your pie crust trying to tear a little bit, just stop. Pinch it back together. Like I said, and turn it so you make sure it's not sticking. If you find out that it's sticking a little bit, always keep you a little bit of flour on hand so you have something to work with. Okay? Pinch that back together. Keep rolling. I'm just going to roll it. I'm not going to just roll it away from me because it's taking me too long. So I'm just going to roll it. Just roll your pie crust until you get it wide as you want it to fit over your pie. You have to be able to fit over the pie. I'm making a pretty big pie. Maybe I shouldn't have made one so big. Okay, my crust is coming together good here. I think I need to make it a little bit larger. And I'm kind of pinching it together as I go because I need to make it a little bit larger. If I see a piece that's trying to come apart, I just stop, pinch that part together, and keep going. Okay. Just about got the size that I want. I can only make it so wide anyway because of my cutting board here. Okay, I think that's wide enough. I got to make sure that it covers my whole pie. But I'm just so proud of my pie crust. I didn't have to run out and buy one. Made it myself. It's nice and cold, still cold, because I made sure my Crisco, butter flavored Crisco, was really nice and cold. Making sure I pinch that together. Okay. Now I think I'm going to go ahead and put it on there. I think that's wide enough, you guys. I think I got it wide enough, and I'll do it the same way I did the others if I need to. If I need to pinch it together, I'll do that. That's what cooking homemade is all about, right? Okay, now I'm going to do this the same way I did the last crust. I'm going to roll it up, roll this crust across my rolling pin here. And I'm going to set my pie right underneath. I may not have to use that. Okay. There's my pie. Now I'm going to put this top crust on there. And I'm hoping that it works out just fine. Yippee! I'm happy. Seems like it came out just enough, and I may have a little bit of hole on one side, which is okay because I need to get some air in there anyway. I'm really happy. I'm going to trim this top off this pie. That's the top. I'm going to trim it. Woo, and put it in the oven. This church girl made a homemade apple pie. Something I don't do every day. Okay, I'm going to take my cooking shears here. And I'm just going to trim. Leave a little bit on there so I can go back and work with that. Not going to cut any from there. I'm just trimming from the area that's hanging way over. I'm leaving just a little bit overlay because I'm gonna work with that in a minute. So just go around your pie and trim off all the excess crust. Okay. Come here, baby. Keep calling my husband, you guys. Forgive me for yelling so much. Bring me your phone. Look at this, babe. Bring your phone real fast. Hurry up. So I can get a photo of my pie before I put it in the oven. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to fold in my extra. I left a little bit of piece hanging over because I want to fold it in the top. I want to fold it underneath my brim here. Look good, don't it, babe? Yeah. My husband said, look good. I hope it tastes as good as it looks. I'm turning my oven on 350. I usually cook everything on 350 or 375 because of the altitude of my house. The way it's sitting kind of high. So 350 and 375 tend to work pretty good with almost everything I cook. Unless I'm cooking something really, really slow. Okay, I'm going all the way around here now and I'm pinching this together. Oh wow, and I got to grab an egg. I need to put a little egg wash on this pie. Hope my eggs are not too cold. I just forgot to take that out, you guys. I'm just putting this little piece together right here because there's a little hole there. I should have left the hole open because I got to pinch some holes in it anyway. Because you have to have air. You have to let air, little holes so air can get in your pie so it won't explode on you. You have to be able to, air has to be able to escape. Now I'm going to get a fork. I'm going to grab an egg first. Forgot about my egg wash. I don't have to do that. But I want to do it because I like a nice golden brown crust. And I don't like, I'm hoping my egg is not too cold. Hoping this egg is not too cold. Oops. I done cracked it in the box. Well, all I want to make is just a little egg wash. I'm going to crack this egg real fast. I can get out this box. May have to grab another egg. Think that'll work. Okay. Man, I just forgot. I'm so sorry. Looking for my little brush. This one would do. I don't have time to find a small one. This one do. I got to put some egg whites on it on my pie so when it brown up. I need to whip it up with something though. I'm going to beating up a little egg white real fast. I forgot to take my egg out and I want to put a little egg white on it. Sometimes I add a little milk in with this, but I think I'm just going to use the plain egg wash. Beating it up. I just grabbed the first little bowl that I saw. My little mixing dish here. It's okay. The main thing is just get it whipped up. 1 egg for a little egg wash. Okay, I think I got it beat up. I think I whipped it up enough. Yep, that's good. Gonna do a little egg wash on this pie. I don't always do that, but this time I want to do that. I'm not gonna use a fork. I'm gonna use a knife and put little slits in it. After I okay, what I'm gonna do now, see this fork here? I'm gonna take this fork. I'm just gonna slightly pinch around my pie, and that's just for a nice look. That's all. Nothing special about this. It's just something that I saw my mom do. And just give the pie a nice little look. You can pinch it together any way you want. But I'm just doing mine this way. This the part that I had a little problem with right here. So I'm holding that down, making sure it doesn't come off. Okay. Hopefully this pie crust tastes real good. I think it would be just fine. I like a nice pie crust. If my pie crust is no good, then I won't enjoy my pie. But I made it the way that I should have made it, and it should come out just fine. All I did, I just went around the pie and gave it a nice little look. There it is. Apple pie, homemade apple pie with homemade crust by the ChurchGirl. Now my last little touch is not gonna use the fork. I'm gonna make little slits in this pie because it needs some air pockets in it so the air can escape as it bakes. So what I'm gonna do, sometimes I just cut a little hole all the way out in the top. But I don't think I'm gonna cut no hole out in the top. I'm gonna make an X. But you can't just cut a whole little hole out. And I think I will. Go ahead and cut that little hole out in the top, right in the center, so that air can escape. Okay? If you don't want to cut that little hole out in the top of your pie, if you buy pies out the store or you go to bakeries, you normally see a little hole in the top just like that. They do that so that the air can escape, okay? So that steam can come out. In addition to that, I'm just going to go around my pie and put just a few little slits in it. Not a lot, but I do want enough to make sure that the air have a way of, pull it open a little bit, escaping. I don't want my pie to explode and run juice everywhere. Okay, I got a nice little slit in the top, so that should really do it. And I got some nice little slits, air pockets. Call them air pockets. When you make your pie, don't be afraid to put some air pockets in there. Okay? Don't be afraid. I think that'll do it, because I do have a nice opening right in the top. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and hit it real fast with a little egg wash. I'm putting the egg wash right around my base of the pie. I'm not gonna egg wash my whole pie, I don't think. Some people they egg wash their whole pie, but I don't think I'm gonna egg wash. I could. It make it a very, very beautiful. It'll give it a beautiful golden brown color. and I don't have a gauge. I don't have a pie ring. But if you don't have a pie ring, you can make a pie ring out of aluminum foil, so that the edge of your pie here, or your pie won't get brown too fast before it cooks. This is just a little egg wash. It's gonna make this pie beautiful, nice golden brown color. I guess I may as well go ahead and egg wash the whole thing. Not gonna hurt. I already started, so I don't normally egg wash the top, but I will. Just take you one egg and give the pie a nice little wash, lightly, and it'll make that pie so brown and beautiful. I think that's enough. I don't want a lot of egg wash on it. But anyway, just like so. Just the way they taught me to do it in culinary school. Okay? It's finished. The reason I called my husband here, because I wanted him to try to get a photo of my what I baked. He acted like he didn't want to come do it, so I'll do it. So, delete. Honey! I got it. I couldn't think of the password. I wanted to get a picture of my pie. Put it in the oven and call it a good night. I have to come back and let you guys see how it turned out, because my video is already probably way too long. But anyway, this is the finished product. Cooking with the Church Girl. Apple pie by the Church Girl. Moving some of this stuff out of my way here. Okay, now I'm going to put this in the oven. You all probably won't get a chance to, I'm going to let it bake, and what I'll do, I'll come back and show it to you when it's finished. Because I'm way over. It took me way too long to make this pie. But there's the finished product before it go in the oven. Okay. That's what it looks like. Now I'm going to put it in the oven and bid you all good evening. And I'll come back and have to do another video and let you see what it looks like. There you have it. From the Church Girl herself. A homemade apple pie, homemade crust. You know, take out a little time. It may take you a little time, but take out some time and make your own homemade crust. And take your time out, make your own homemade pie. Like I said, when you make it yourself, and you seem to enjoy it better. Now, if I were to go to the store to try to buy this pie, homemade like this, I'd probably end up paying $20 for this pie. Or $25. So I'm going to put it in the oven and let it bake until it's golden brown. I'm going to time it. I'm not exactly sure, but I have to let you know how long it took me to bake it once I take it out, okay? Put it in the oven. That being said, going to bid you good evening. And when this pie is done, I'll come back. I'm not even gonna set it on a platter, because I have a platter in the bottom of my oven. God bless you. That was the homemade apple pie by the Church Girl herself. And I will come back and let you all see exactly what this apple pie looked like when it's finished. Have a good evening. God bless you. And don't forget to go over to Cooking with Church Girl. Subscribe, like, and share on my YouTube channel. I would appreciate that so very, very much. And try these delicious recipes. And enjoy your meals. Try to eat healthy. And above all, keep Jesus first in your life. That being said, have a good evening. And I love you. And I will show you the pie when it's done. Okay?